Hi AP, here's your video on how to link other JavaScript files into your P5 projects, which we have talked a little bit about. This is super useful if you are writing a lot of functions and you are noticing your code getting really long and hard to read. We have said before that one of the main benefits of functions and abstractions is that they reduce repetition, but also that they just make our code easier to deal with. Like, it's easier to read something with a clear, concise kind of general name that hides the details than to see all of those details. And so if you know you have a function that works, you don't need to see all the details. You can hide them away and just call on the name of that function in order to do whatever you need to do. So I want to just clarify before we do this that it is never required to make this extra file and link all your functions. But I think it is a best practice when we're working on more complex work because it just keeps our workspace a little cleaner, and it can just reduce our headache when we're looking through lines and lines and lines of code. So I am doing this with the in-class live example we did with the draw heart function. If this is something you would like to do, you just need a P5 program with one or more functions that you have written in it. So again, in this program, I have written function draw hearts. It exists right here. You can see that it works because I've called it twice in my draw program, and when I hit play, I get this canvas with the 2 hearts drawn. So what I want to have happen is I want to hide away function draw hearts somewhere else so that I don't have to look at it here. I don't have to worry about like accidentally deleting it or messing with it when I'm writing the rest of my code, but it's still somewhere that I can access and that my program is aware of. So to make this happen, this is a little bit of a fiddly process, and there's a lot of moments where typos can get in our way. So if something is not working for you, I would encourage you to just pause, go back, check every step, make sure that every step is exact, otherwise we might have a problem on our hands. All right, guys, so to start us off, we need to make a new JavaScript file. To do that, we are going to click this arrow that lives next to sketch.js. And when we click it, it's going to pop out this little hidden menu that has the HTML, the sketch.js, which is where you guys normally work, and the style.css, which are this index and the style.css are like the building blocks of the web page that holds your canvas. And in our class, we don't do too much with those because HTML and CSS are not programming languages, they are markup languages. And JavaScript is a programming language, so it fulfills the needs of our course. But we are going to be using those because these three together is kind of what builds most websites. So in order to get a new JavaScript file, you will see that there's a label called Sketch Files. You're going to click down on this arrow, and you're going to click Create File. Now, what you name your file is really up to you. It should be something easy to spell. Please no spaces, please no capital letters. And it should always end with .js. And that .js tells the computer that everything in that file is in JavaScript. Just like .html tells the computer everything in that file is HTML, and .css, everything in there is CSS. So because this is going to be my personal functions library for all the functions I write for this project, I'm just going to call this functions.js. And then I'm going to click add file, and it's going to add right here. You'll notice that it like alphabetizes nicely for you. You know you've done this correctly if now you see 4 files instead of 3. So my next step is going to be to go to index.html, and this is like the building blocks of this website. Some of you might have more experience with web development. This might look more familiar, but the important things to know are that all of the resources that our website needs to access live in the head tag. So right now in the head tag on line 4 and line 5, these are both linking different JavaScript libraries. So these are linking the P5 library on line 4 and the P5 sound library on line 5. And every time you guys make something new in the P5 editor, those are automatically linked. If you guys were to go to another like online code editing website, the P5 stuff would not automatically be there, but you could put it there by copying and pasting these lines of code in. Now we want to add another JavaScript sheet. So to do that, we're going to follow this same format of script src equals a URL, and then we're going to have a closing script tag. And it does not matter where it goes as long as it is between where the head tag starts on line 3 and ends on line 9. So for us, I'm going to actually make some more spaces, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on line 9. Again, the closing head tag for me is now on line 11. I'm going to write script SRC. It stands for source, and one common mistake I see is people switching these letters around. So if you think something is not working, you should check yourself and make sure you wrote SRC. Then we are putting an equal sign, and we're going to tell it where is it going to find this source for JavaScript. And the place it's going is going to be functions.js in quotes. Now this name will of course change if your file name was different. Please be really careful of typos because this is another issue and error I see. Sometimes people will spell their file name wrong. Sometimes people put like spaces in their file name and they don't put spaces here or vice versa. So be really, really careful with your naming. If you do notice a typo and you need to rename, you can click down on this arrow and rename any files. Now once you have this linked, we also need to close our script tag. That is those triangle braces, a slash, and then the word script. And this should link everything in. Now to test and see if it's linked, we're going to head back to sketch.js. I'm going to take my entire function, I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to delete where my function was. Remember, it's copied, it's sitting on my clipboard. But right now, if I hit play, I'm going to get an error that drawHeart isn't defined because I got rid of that function. The computer doesn't know how to execute this function drawHeart. Theoretically, if this is linked correctly, when I paste it into functions.js, that index error, that error about drawHeart being not defined, should be wrong. So I'm going to go into functions.js, I'm going to paste this in, I'm going to hit play, and now I have two hearts showing up on my screen again. And that is because this function here is now linked through the HTML so that I can utilize it in sketch.js. And the benefit of this, as we can see, is now this whole sketch that draws things on my canvas is just much cleaner. I don't need to look at all the steps I used for drawHeart. I can just call drawHeart and they show up on my screen. So again, guys, never required, recommended to help you keep your workspace clean and organized. Please utilize as you see fit. Good luck, guys.